Number one is fear. Obviously, if you're afraid of something, the chances of you trying it are very, very low. So we're going to work on overcoming that. Number two is technique. You might actually be using the wrong technique. Third reason that you might not be able to kick up onto the wall is you're not spending any time upside down. Hey, this is Coach Ben from WODprep, and in this video, I'm going to help you finally learn how to kick up onto the wall into a handstand without completely freaking out. So stick around, and by the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you might not be good at kicking up into that handstand on the wall. I'm also going to give you a few drills that are a little unconventional that you can practice on your own, and at the very end of the video, I'm going to let you know where you can download a completely free handstand push-up training guide, including some tips to help you kick up onto the wall. So stick around to the end of this video, and you'll get the goods. Listen, I understand how frustrating it can be when you're trying to kick up onto the wall, or frankly do anything that other people make it look really easy, but for you and I, it's not so easy. It's also no help that your coach might be yelling at you or saying, just do it, and trying to manipulate your body to get you up and onto the wall. And I know how frustrating it can be. So again, I'm gonna share a few tips in this video to help you overcome that fear of kicking up into a handstand. And by the end, hopefully you'll have a few tools that you can move forward with to finally kick up at the wall completely fear-free. So let's talk about the 3 main factors that are preventing you from kicking up onto the wall without any fear or any hesitation. Number one is fear. Obviously, if you're afraid of something, the chances of you trying it are very, very low. So we're going to work on overcoming that. Number 2 is technique. You might actually be using the wrong technique. Maybe you don't have a coach who's helping you actually conquer the fear of kicking up onto the wall, and maybe you're just frankly doing it wrong. We're going to share how to fix the technique. And also the third reason that you might not be able to kick up onto the wall is you're not spending any time upside down. So we will give you a few things that you can practice to get upside down, expose yourself to being upside down, and then eventually you'll be much more comfortable kicking up into the wall. Because let's be honest, we don't really spend very much time upside down in our daily lives. I don't know about you, but when I sleep, it's not upside down. When I walk, usually it's not upside down. When I drive my car, normally it's not upside down. I'm usually right side up. So being upside down can be a bit nerve-wracking, and again, we're gonna work on that. So first, let's attack the fear. Let's get fear out of your system. And the way we're going to do that are 3 or 4 specific drills that can help you conquer that. The first one we're going to practice is the monkey cartwheel. So for this drill, you're really just going to play around like you're a monkey. Imagine you're back in kindergarten and you're trying to practice your cartwheels. That's what you're doing here. Basically, what we're trying to do is slowly but surely get more comfortable being upside down. So as you can see, we're just kind of playing around, kicking up. Shona is doing a great job of demonstrating how you can just have fun trying to be a monkey cartwheeler. The main focus here is learning how to transfer weight from your body and shoulders into your hands. So if you start getting more confident in actually transitioning into putting weight into your hands, you will start to get much more comfortable being upside down. And also we can start playing around with those balance factors. So when you immediately fall over, you'll start to notice how your balance and how your weight distribution affects that balance upside down. As you become more confident in this drill, you will slowly but surely try to get yourself more and more vertical with legs more and more straight. So while it might start out with a very, very minimal upside down feeling, you eventually will be able to get much, much higher and even more vertical. There's a rumor going around that you haven't hit the subscribe button. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold my chin above the bar until you hit the subscribe button. So hit the button, it says subscribe on it. Just to show you my dedication, I'm gonna hang above the bar as long as it takes. The next drill to help you conquer feel are what we call Tick-Tock Kicks. So essentially we're kicking up into a handstand, but the goal isn't necessarily to get all the way into a completely vertical handstand. So we're just playing around, just like the cartwheels that we practice, we're playing around directly kicking into that handstand and just rocking back and forth. Again, it's all about transferring the weight from our body and from our shoulders into the hands and the wrists. And as we play around with that transition, slowly but surely, as you get more comfortable, you'll see yourself start kicking up higher and higher and higher. A couple points to focus on here is to make sure that you keep your arms locked out, make sure you keep your arms directly overhead, and focus on transferring your momentum and using the momentum of your body to transfer the weight into your hands. And as you expose yourself to this drill, you can start to work on tucking your chin as you kick up. So rather than keeping your head looking at the ground while you're upside down, you can start tucking your chin, which will maybe make you feel a little uneasy, but it is the next level of this progression. And the next drill that we're going to practice is the crow to headstand. This is a great way to truly conquer your fear of being upside down. So the first thing that you're going to do is put your hands on the ground nice and wide, fingers splayed out nice and wide, and we're going to practice putting lots of weight, try to put all of our weight, frankly, into the hands so that we can tilt forward and maybe start to lift our feet off the ground. If need be, you can have someone spotting your shoulders and kind of catching your weight so that you don't immediately do a face plant into the ground. But honestly, if you practice this on your own, you can even slide an ab mat or a t-shirt or some sort of padded object underneath your face and underneath your forehead so that as you play around with that weight distribution, even if you lean too far forward and do a little bit of a face plant, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. The next level of this drill will actually turn into a tucked headstand or maybe even a full-blown straight up and down headstand. So as we transfer the weight, as we lift our back feet and we actually put our head and forehead into the ground and we create that nice tripod position, your goal is to start to let your feet get higher and higher and higher. So as we transition our weight, again, you can add an ab mat so that your head isn't on the concrete or on the hard floor. Transition your weight from your hands into your head. You have your forehead, your hands all in contact with the ground, and then that will allow you, maybe even eventually, to tuck your knees and get your feet all the way up above you so that you're in that vertical headstand position that you might have seen in your local yoga class. So now that we've talked about trying to conquer our fear and we've played around with being upside down, let's actually talk about kicking up and onto the wall. So we're going to go through a few points of performance. First, let's talk about our hands. We don't want to have our fingers together. We want to make sure that our fingers are spread or splayed apart so that we have a nice wide, stable base. And then it's also really important that you find a distance from the wall that works for you. Some people do better with their hands close to the wall. Some people do better with your hands farther away from the wall. For me, it's generally a few inches. For Shona, you can see here how far her hands are from the wall, and that's a good, comfortable position for her. But what we suggest is just simply mark where your hands are going to be. And as you practice, you can play against that mark. You can move them closer, you can move them farther away, and you will find a position that's more comfortable for you. Just hit the subscribe button. I'm showing you my dedication to you, the viewer, but it would really help me if you hit subscribe. Next, it's all about the arms. So when you kick up into a handstand, it's really important that your arms are locked out completely overhead. The last thing you want to do is kick up with bent arms because you might come crashing to the ground. When your arms are straight and we have that elbow completely locked out overhead, it allows us to have bone on bone, which is a much stronger support than trying to support yourself like this. Just like we wouldn't do an overhead squat with bent elbows, we shouldn't do a handstand push-up kick up without having our arms completely locked out. Next, let's talk about our head. As we kick up and onto the wall, I'm going to be looking at where my hands are being placed. But then as I actually transition up and onto the wall, I'll then let my head come through into a neutral position. So I'm looking through the window that is my arm. I'm looking at the opposite wall across from me. We don't want to keep our head always looking down because it puts our neck in a compromised position and it's just not as strong for when we actually go to do the handstand push-up eventually down the road. But as we practice these kick-ups, it's really important that we continue to practice getting our head into a nice neutral position. Next, let's talk about our legs. Generally, when you kick up, one leg is going to be bent while the other trailing leg is going to remain as straight as possible. As you can see here, the kick up simply starts with a slight leg tuck and then the trailing leg stays straight and the heels of your feet both make contact with the wall as you transition all the way up and onto the wall to the support position. Another thing to note is with your legs, it really helps when you step into the kick up. If you try kicking up onto the wall without actually utilizing the momentum from your legs, you will oftentimes not have enough momentum to actually get yourself upside down. Another common thing that I see is people will do a donkey kick where they try to kick both feet up at the exact same time, and it's just really awkward, and frankly, I don't even think I could do that. So remember, step into the positions we've already talked about with your hands, with your arms straight, but it's really important that you step into it with your legs to help you generate momentum and ultimately leads to you being upside down on the wall. Next, let's talk about the actual body, your torso. It's really easy to completely lose control here and be loosey-goosey and have an overextended core. So if you don't keep your core tight and your torso in that nice straight hollow body solid position, then you can overextend and just kind of be flopping around, and we don't want that. Think about flexing your glutes or squeezing your butt so that your glutes are in a strong position and you don't have any overextension. You can also think about contracting your core muscles or flexing those abs, and that's going to help keep a much better position than overextending. The last nuance that I want to talk about is as we're flipping upside down, we're trying to focus on all these different things, it's really important that you actively push into the floor with your shoulders. What we don't want to do is relax in the arms and the shoulders, because any bit of relaxation here could cause you to come crumbling to the ground. So just like in the CrossFit Level 1 certification, we talk about active shoulders, and not everyone always agrees with it. For these intents and purposes, as we're kicking up onto the wall, we do want you to actively press with your shoulders into the ground, and that's going to make sure that your body and your muscles are ready to receive the weight that is you being upside down. Finally, let's talk about the third thing that could be preventing you from kicking upside down. The first thing we talked about was just general fear. The second thing that we talked about was a lack of technique, which hopefully we've just cleaned up. And now it's time to talk about lack of time spent inverted. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't spend very much time in our lives walking around upside down. We're generally right side up pretty much all of the time. And when we lay down for bed, we're just laying down on the ground. We're never really upside down. So one of the easiest and most effective ways to truly get you prepared to kick up onto the wall with absolutely no fear at all is to just gradually expose yourself to being upside down. We talked about those 3 or 4 drills earlier on that help get rid of the fear, but I have a few more that I really want to share with you that'll help you accumulate more upside down time, which will directly correlate to you being better at handstand push-up kick-ups. Just hit the subscribe button. Come on, baby. I'm barely hanging on. I'm barely hanging on. I'm gonna fall to my death unless you hit the subscribe button. Come on. So the first drill that's going to help you develop this comfort of being upside down is a box handstand hold. So just like it sounds, you're utilizing a box to practice getting your torso upside down. You can do this with your toes on the box and try to be in a piked position, or if you want to scale down from there, you can even put your knees on the box and try to keep your torso as vertical as possible. Depending on how far away or how close your hands are to the box, that's going to adjust your torso angle, which will either make you this or this. Obviously, the more this we get, the more vertical you get, the closer it's going to resemble actually being upside down on the wall. Ultimately, we want you to get to a point where your hips are stacked directly over top of your shoulders, which are on top of your hands. That vertical position is going to correlate directly with actually kicking up on the wall. The next drill that I want to talk about is the angled wall hold or the wall walk. Really, they're both kind of the same thing. So all this is you're going to slowly but surely walk your way up onto the wall. Your belly and your nose and your chest are all facing the wall when this is all said and done. So depending on how comfortable you are, you can just take a couple steps, and then that's going to be the angled wall hold. Remember, this entire time we're focusing on those points of performance that we talked about in section 2 of this video. We're keeping our core tight, we're keeping our shoulders stacked, we're trying to maintain a good position, not trying to be saggy, and no one likes being saggy. Ugh, yuck, this is disgusting. So don't be saggy. Walk yourself up. And then if you feel more comfortable, you can turn this into a full wall walk. So that's where you're going to walk your hands all the way to the wall. Your feet are going to slowly climb up higher and higher and higher. And you can get all the way until your nose touches the wall if you want to take this to the furthest extent possible. Remember, our head stays neutral. We're actively pushing into the ground. Our fingers are splayed. All of those techniques we talked about are the same from section 2 in this video. We're just not kicking up into the handstand hold, we're walking up into it, which can be a little less extreme for some people. And then if you're worried about how do I escape this, I'm gonna fall off the wall, you can simply practice just kicking out of it using a cartwheel technique. So rather than having to walk yourself all the way back down, which when you're tired can be very fatiguing and it can hurt, I've done it, I have experience with it, you can just kick off to the side, and that is a great way to learn how to bail this movement when you start to feel uncomfortable. And the final drill that we want to talk about to help you practice exposure to being upside down is the simple headstand. We mentioned it a little bit in the very beginning when we were talking about that crow position to eventually being in a full headstand. But here, I want you to practice actually going all the way up into that headstand. So you can stay tucked if you really want, but ideally we want to see those feet go to full extension. You can practice this on the wall, or you can practice it freestanding. If you're deathly afraid of falling over, you can place some mats so that if you fall, it doesn't hurt. But ultimately, the more you get comfortable being in this tripod position, even if it's in a tucked position, slowly but surely try to extend your legs, and then you will get much more comfortable, and it's gonna be easy, breezy, beautiful when you kick up onto the wall and actually start to do handstand push-up kick-ups.
I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. Just hit the subscribe button. Please, there's one more person. They need to hit the subscribe button.
So in this video, we covered how to overcome fear. We covered technique and points of performance. We also discussed a few drills that will help you accumulate more time being upside down. I really hope you like this video, and as promised, I want to give you a free handstand push-up training. So all you need to do is click the link in the description below or look in the top comment section. We have a few special links that I want to draw your attention to. Number one, we have a free training guide that's designed with this video to help you get better at kicking up into the wall and eventually getting handstand push-ups, because that's the real goal here in the end. Number two, we have a course called Handstand Push Up Power that if you're someone who's really serious about learning how to do handstand push-ups and never be afraid of kicking up onto the wall again, I'm inviting you to join Handstand Push Up Power. If the doors are currently open for enrollment, the links below will take you to a page where you can join, and it is a guaranteed, 100% guaranteed or your money back to help you learn handstand push-ups. So if you don't see results, you can get every single penny back, and that's our WODprep promise to you. And then last thing, make sure you smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. And the question of the day is, if you could handstand walk anywhere in the world, or handstand hold, because that's what this video is about. If you could handstand walk or handstand hold anywhere in the world, where would it be? For me personally, it was a handstand hold that I did by the Blue Grotto in Malta. I went to Malta for my honeymoon, and I did a whole bunch of handstand walking. So maybe we'll overlay a few videos of me doing that on my honeymoon, but that was pretty much just after I learned how to handstand walk and handstand hold, and I was very, very proud of that. So I did it in Pompeii, in Malta, in Taormina. I did it everywhere. Love you, Italy and Malta. So leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
All right, cut. That's a wrap, boys. Let's go grab some beers. Call it a day. All right.
Yeah, I can see it. That's good.